Yes.
All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to the Hey Frase Show. It is Wednesday morning. I could not be more excited about today's guest. We are your hosts. I'm Sarah Fraser, along with the fabulous Andrea Lopez. Comedy, AJ.
Hello.
AJ. She's back at her Boca Raton home. All right, for those of you who don't know, obviously we're social distancing, so we are not in the same studio anymore. AJ has a green screen. P.S. girl, my green screen finally came in. So I'm super excited. I don't really even know how to use it, but anyway, I'm gonna set it up, and then hopefully, I will also be in some crazy Boca Raton themed, background here pretty soon.
Okay, thank God. And not that we don't love your background, but it's always fun to just, get creative with your backgrounds. Yesterday, I had Courtney and Scott because I'm hoping that they get back together. Today, I'm in Boca Raton, Florida.
Is there talk that now Courtney and Scott Disick are going to get back together?
There is talks. Yes, there is a lot of whispers and talks.
We kind of always knew that, though, didn't we? Really? I mean, don't you feel like they wanted to take a couple years off to hook up with other people, but we always knew in the end they'd be back together?
They're meant for each other. Yeah, they had to come back together. We always knew.
I agree. Guys, we are live. As you know, we've been going live throughout COVID-19 on my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Hey Frase, on YouTube, Hey Frase, Periscope, shout out to you, and Twitch. We're live across all boards. And first, the intro songs that you are hearing every single day this week on the Hey Frase podcast are courtesy of Action Music. His new album, Island Rocker, is out. You can get it on Spotify, on Apple Music. Please purchase it. He's a fan of Hey Frase. He's in the DMV area. We love him. So you're going to hear some of his songs starting the show and ending the show every single day this week. So that's why you're not hearing the Hey Frase intro, and we love him. Actionmusic.com is the website you can go to. Start a watch party right now. If you're on Facebook, comment, let us know where you are watching or listening to us from. We also are so excited about our guest today. Lindsey Metselaar hosts this super popular podcast called Met At Acme, all about dating in New York City. She's a trip. I actually got to be on her live show she did at City Winery in January. And let me just tell you, AJ, she had a panel of 6 people. So it was myself and Corinne Delgado, who works for 94.7, the radio station. So we were the only 2 that had any relationship experience. And then everyone else was under the age of 30. And let me just there was this really sweet guy there. I don't even remember his name, but he honestly was so loyal to his girlfriend. He was 21, and he was the first person.
Too young. Yeah, too young.
It was the first person that he'd ever had sex with. And I think she asked him a question about, dating a woman who had slept with a lot of people. And he was like, well, I would never slut shame a woman ever. But for me personally, that would be a breaking point. And I'm like, oh my God, this is spoken seriously by someone who just lost their virginity. Honey, wait till you're 28. You're going to be out there slaying anything. Anyway,
she was trying to get a diverse panel. Yeah, she needed to have someone who just got his knob slobbed, and then he has to have you, who's all over town.
I know. I mean, I think they asked a question, something about how soon after you met somebody would you have sex with them? And I was like, 30 minutes. And he was like, it would take me several, I would have to get to know their character. I was like, God bless you. I mean, I wish I had your standards, sir. Anyway, I want to know all about that. So we're going to ask her, if you haven't ever checked out We Met at Acme, it is a great podcast. Subscribe to it on your Spotify or on iTunes. You're going to get addicted. You're going to absolutely love it. And we can't wait to have her on. She asks and talks about all the questions of relationships. So if you have a relationship question, she's going to be joining us at 10:30 a.m. Okay. I want to really quickly get on our friend Brad McCormack before we have her on. April is on, Courtney's on. Hi to you guys. Thank you for joining our live stream. So I also want to thank Cup to Cup Podcast. Then we're going to bring in Brad really quick. So Cup to Cup Podcast, awesome show, a podcast out of Florida, 4 guys that are hilarious. Cup to Cup, you can find their show. They put out brand new episodes every single week. It is a riot. They also do, of course, the craziest person from Florida, which there's no short of nutsacks in Florida. No offense to our Tampa followers. We love you dearly. Cup to Cup, check them out. And when you get a chance, download and subscribe their podcast on iTunes and Spotify. All right, Brad McCormack. Our friend Brad is here from Fidelity Bags. Brad is the man. Hi, Brad.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Great.
So good. Brad, you have been a longtime friend of the show, and you work for, as well, Fidelity Bags, which we're putting up the link right now. But Fidelity is also doing masks for the pandemic.
Yep, for the new normal.
The new normal,
yes.
So you guys do masks, by the way, for kids, for adults.
Yep, we just started making kid sizes. They were in demand. We got this is one of ours. Oh, Andrea's got one on there. The leopard skin mask.
Love this.
Yeah, so we have like over actually close to 50 styles now.
50 styles.
Yeah, we started with just 20. And then, people wanted different colors, different patterns. And then the kids, people wanted them for their kids. So we made little smaller ones, but these have adjustable straps, little bead, helps you tighten it up. You can see the modeling there. They actually have a little bendable nose guard in there built in.
Oh, really? Oh, Brad, look at you.
Put on. They fit a little under the chin there. So,
Very comfortable.
This helps you. The nose guard helps keep it in place and for glasses not to slip or to fog up. So.
Oh, good. You know what? Because I'm currently wearing my mask and my glasses get super foggy. It drives me insane. So if you're just joining the show right now, Fidelity Bags, we love working with them. We have a code, Hey Frase 15. You get 15% off, right, Brad, when you go to check out?
15% off. Yep. Hey Frase 15. Use it at the checkout at fidelitybags.com.
Fidelitybags.com. You're doing fashion masks for kids, for adults. I want your one that says fake news.
Yeah, we have that one. Yep, we have a whole bunch of new styles. We did a Pride collection. It's June Pride month.
Okay, we love Pride.
We got that going on. So yeah, whatever you're kind of into, we have different designs and styles, and it's a very breathable material. So Amanda, my wife, she bought some off Etsy when all this stuff started going down in March. We got them. They were black cloth masks. Put them on and could barely, it was just like cloth.
Yeah, they're so heavy.
Breathe, like in the grocery store, and then and now it's like getting into the 90s up here in Boston, and these are a stretchable, breathable material, so much easier to more comfortable, I would say, any type of weather.
Okay, Brad, they're amazing. Also, by the way, for people who don't know, you've been a longtime helper and friend of our show because you actually do like all of our Facebook, Instagram boosting. And so people can hire you like if they own a company, right? Because you do targeted marketing. Tell us like where people can find you personally, because I cannot recommend, we like adore Brad. Brad is like a game changer for your business. Yeah,
well, I guess you can just email me, bradmcdj@gmail. Easiest way to contact me. I don't really have a website for the other stuff I do because I'm always running other people's sites, e-commerce. I do help local business. But yeah, I think some of the ads we've done on a local level have been great. That's what I specialize in, local businesses and then e-commerce.
And when you say that, like you'll help, like, for example, when we did that Advantage Financial Credit Union, you came up with the concept of me going out and like blowing fake money. And then that had like thousands of views.
That was the best video.
Actually, that was like one of the highest ROIs for a client ever. They had so many new bank account signups from that. And I think it was because it was just so bizarre. And then I found this guy playing the trumpet out there to Rocky's theme music. And it was just the most random fucking thing. Anyway, you came up with that concept. So people need to book you personally, buy masks at Fidelity Bags, but then reach out to Brad McCormack. And what's your personal email again?
bradmcdj@gmail. You can find me on LinkedIn. Look up Brad McCormack. LinkedIn. It's easy to get a hold of me. They can reach out to you, and you can.
That's true. Sarah at heyfrase.com. I mean, what's it been like working with us for the past 3 years? I mean, what would you say?
Oh, it's been great. No, it's interesting. I had my start in DC. I'm from, lived in DC since 99 until I moved up here to Boston. But, my first start was in radio. And you knew that, right? I worked at Wash FM.
Yes, longtime DJ.
I worked at Wash FM. It was my first job out of college. I was there a little over a year. I think Elliot in the Morning had just joined DC 101 back then. They were in the same building. Actually, no, they weren't in the same building. This was back in the
back in the day.
Yeah, not at the 1801 Rockville Pike.
Yes.
I don't even know. Yeah, there was. It was also Jammin' 99.5, which then turned into Hot 99.5.
God.
I was there in jamming. That's how old I am, I guess. I was there in the jamming 99.5 days. Wash FM was down the hall. MZQ, and then there was a 4th station on that floor. There was 4 radio stations.
Probably it's gone out of business by now. I'm not.
TPT.
Yeah.
WBIG, big oldies 100. That was what it was. I don't know what it is now, but
that's where you got your start. I know. Radio.
History in DC radio. Witnessed some things. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, Brad, we adore you. Fidelity Bags. You can get the hottest fashions for kids, for adults, for guys and girls. These masks are super lightweight, but also protective. And they have a great sort of that metal pinch. Oh my gosh, love it for America. They're also offering Pride ones. Go to Fidelity, FYDELITY, bags.com and use code HeyFrase15. Brad, we adore you. Good to see you.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Brad. You got it. All right. We're hoping to get our friend Lindsey Metselaar here from We Met at Acme on the show. Age, I might have you hit her with, we've got a few minutes. Okay. I was going to say, we might have you hit her with an email. Make sure she got the link this morning. But yes. Lindsey, if you don't know, she has a really popular podcast called We Met at Acme, which is all about dating in New York City. So she's going to be joining us here in a few minutes. And I want to just make sure that she's got that. So we can hit her up in a second. If you have any relationship questions that you want, leave them in the comments right now. Melinda loves the cute flag masks. Melinda, they're so adorable. We just had our friend Brad on, who's been a longtime friend of the show. He works for Fidelity Bags, and they're offering really cute masks that AJ just put up. So we can, we'll keep the code up there, which is HeyFrase15. You get 15% discount. Adorable. Adorbs. So AJ, I was telling you, we'll hit a couple pop culture stories before we get Lindsey on. So I was telling you, Cops, we talked about the show earlier in the week. The Longtime Cop show has now officially been canceled in light of everything that has been happening nationwide, protests, a lot of outrage about the show, and now they're calling for live PD to be canceled as well. What do you think? Because we joke, and I have too, on a Friday night. It's like you have a bottle of wine and watch live PD, but now everybody wants the show done.
And watch live PD. Well, guess what? The good news is there's like 50 billion seasons. So you can just go back and watch reruns until you're blue in the face. Like there's no shortage of content there. Like, don't worry. I don't honestly care if it gets canceled. I'm never watching it actually live anyway. I'm watching season 8 from 10 years ago.
Wait, of live PD?
Well, yeah, there's so many seasons.
Really?
Not as many as Cops, but yeah, there's a lot of seasons of live PD.
Oh, I actually thought live PD was somehow like a new show. It's
newer than Cops for sure, but it's definitely been a long running show.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm way behind in the game. I thought it was like 2 years old. I was like, oh, what's this show where they follow live police and then they drop in on them, as we talked about, like in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Sometimes I'm wrong. I just feel like I've been watching it for 10 years. I don't know why. I do.
Well, most likely it's going off the air anyway. So if you liked live PD, there is a call for it to be canceled. And I didn't even realize that Cops, that show was still on, and it was on Paramount Network. Now, if anybody knows where the fuck you find Paramount Network, please let us know, because I don't even know what channel that's on.
Neither do I. I think a lot of our listeners were like, I have no idea how to watch that. It just comes up on my TV. Like if I'm ever awake at 3 a.m. and I turn on the TV, Cops is on somehow.
Well, not actually. You know what? That's a good question, though. So they were getting ready to air season 33, but they're not going to because it's been pulled. But that is a great question. Will they continue to air reruns, or has it been pulled completely? That's actually a great point. People are saying live PD is a revamped version of Cop Show. Absolutely, right? They just make it seem live instead of, Cops we always knew was pre-recorded. It was just that somebody was following them. Live PD is the shit. Well, April, I have bad news for you, because there's now a call for it to be canceled in the wake of everything that is happening. I used to watch it for them to arrest my baby's daddy.
Hopefully you just see it. Oh, there he is. There he is.
April, you might be my favorite comment of the morning. That's hilarious. But April, my question is, would you call him? Would you call them and give them a tip? Like, you were like, hey, by the way, if you guys need a case, my baby daddy, here's where he lives. That's hysterical.
I'm sure people call the hotline all the time.
Oh my God, I love it. AJ, how are you? What were you doing overnight?
Fantastic. There's so many outdoorsy things to do here. I'm getting in touch with my nature side. I was all used to my New York City lifestyle, me living in my shoebox apartment, right? I was really getting into the vibes of it. And then everything happened. And, now I'm in Ocean City just hanging out with a bunch of senior 18-year-olds. They're legal, though.
I know.
They're legal. But,
They're legal.
But yeah, no, we've been doing barbecues. I saw you made a smoothie this morning. I made a smoothie this morning. Just kind of living the life.
Well, that was my first smoothie, by the way.
Okay,
ever.
that's not. First off, I want to address this because that's not your first smoothie. Dan makes you smoothies every morning. I guess this is your first smoothie that you've made, right?
Well, here's the thing. Hold on. Lindsey Metz needs the.
I gotcha. I'll send it again.
She needs the link. I was just emailing with her. No, Dan makes a smoothie for himself every single morning, but I have never actually made my own. And I've tried Dan's smoothies, but I don't like them because he adds a lot of like whey protein powder. Then there's oatmeal in it. There's avocado in it. There's turmeric in it. There's so many things. I don't think. Then there's like a scoop of chocolate. I don't think it tastes very good. So today I got inspired. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make myself a smoothie for the first damn time. And it was okay. I'm going to say it was all right.
It was all right. But let me also ask you, why did Dan say add avocado? Because I only put avocado in guacamole. Why is he telling you to add it into the smoothie?
Well, one, avocados are really good, healthy fat for you. You know, he's like basically 100% vegan.
Okay. Oh, yes.
So he does it for like the fat and protein, but he also says that it makes it like a better consistency. So he likes the consistency because I think the avocado makes it like a little bit heavier, almost like drinking an acai bowl.
Okay, I get that, but you don't taste the strong avocado taste. It actually tastes like you can taste berries or whatever other ingredients you put in.
Well, when I drink his, I have to say, I taste like the whey protein powder a lot.
Okay.
I don't think they're very good. I don't know if it's the avocado. I don't know if it's the oatmeal, but to me, it's very heavy proteiny taste, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I'm open to it. My mom decided to make it. Hers is a little soupy, so I'll be adding some avocado to it.
Okay, that's the one I want. I like the little soupy. Our girl, Lindsey Metselaar, is here. We're going to have her on. She is the host and creator of the amazing podcast, We Met At Acme. We love her. Oh, Lindsey! I can't wait to talk to this woman all about sex. She knows everybody who's anybody in New York City. I really want all the dirt, really, but okay, so we're bringing in Lindsey. Welcome to the show. Here she is. Lindsey.
Hi. You guys are hysterical.
Oh my. No, you're amazing. And I love listening to your show. And no, don't button anything up. Keep it unbuttoned. You're so hot.
I was realizing it was a little scandalous.
No, don't. So do I. It looks like I'm topless under here. Just show a little cleavage.
Great. Okay. A little bit.
Lindsey, we were reading. I didn't realize this about you, that your dream guest is Howard Stern.
Yes. And you mentioned him in the email and I was like, oh my God, this is like female Howard Stern. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Okay. Why is Howard your dream guest? Because I am obsessed. I have listened to Howard. Oh my God. You're probably like too young to even have remembered when he had that late night show on E!
No, I vaguely remember that. I mean, I have been a fan of his for a while just because he pushes the envelope. And like, you know, he's a little bit more like he reeled it back a little bit, but he used to really get into it. And, you know, he made some mistakes, but he owned up to them. And like, he's just really good at getting things out of people. And that's the mark, I think, of a great interviewer.
Yes. You know? 100%. And I agree with you. Howard would be my dream interview. But do you ever fantasize about this? Because I fantasize about interviewing Howard. However, I get nervous because I'm like, what would I ask him?
Yeah.
Like, what would you want to know from Howard Stern that we don't already know?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he's such an open book in so many ways that like there's not a lot left. And maybe that's part of why he doesn't do interviews. But I don't know.
Oh, I know.
What would you ask him?
Okay, honestly, so here's the thing. My background is in radio. So what I'm most curious about is how he has managed to keep Robin, to keep Baba Booey. How has everybody, and look, I know it's a gravy train, so maybe they've all just been smart enough to realize like it's not going to get any bigger or better than Howard. Right. But to keep, and I want to ask you about this, about the Call Her Daddy situation, because we've been obsessed with that story too. But it is so difficult to keep egos in check when you're working with a group, whether it's a band, whether it's a morning show, whatever it is. So how has he managed to balance all that and keep them together for 25 years? That's what I want to know.
Well, I feel like it must have to do with like his work ethic. Like when you work for someone and you respect them and like how they work and what they do and what they put into it, then like, you know your place. But if you work for someone and you think you're doing more than them, that's when like the lines get crossed. I mean, that would be a great question to ask him, right? And then I also feel like, just the standard, like, who was your favorite interviewer? Whoever you tried to get that was like, no, I'm not going on your show. Like, F you.
Okay, well, I'm going to send you his book, Howard Stern Comes Again. It's his latest book, and he talks about that. One of his biggest regrets, he interviewed Eminem, and poor Eminem. He and Robin basically attacked Eminem so much and made fun of him that to this day, this is back in 2001, that Eminem refuses to ever come back on their show and would not even accept an apology from Howard. And that is one of Howard's biggest regrets. Like, he'd love to interview Eminem again. I'm going to send you a copy of the book.
There are other people like that he made feel that way that also didn't come back, I think. I forgot who it was, but it was someone that he did apologize to and they accepted his apology. I have to look into that.
Well, the other one, okay, we need to talk about you. But anyway, we're both obsessed with Howard. But the other one more is Robin Williams. So
yes, yes. And he never got to apologize when he died. And then he felt so terrible, as he kind of should, that he left it on those terms where he was a dick to Robin Williams.
Yes. Oh, anyway, the book, you'll love the book if you're a Howard fan.
I need to read it.
I'll get it to you. Okay, let's talk about your very popular podcast. You've been in the New York Times as a relationship podcast that everybody must listen to. So Acme, I know what Acme is in New York, but tell us, we met at Acme. What is Acme for people who are just discovering your show?
Yeah, so Acme is a bar on the Lower East Side. It's like on Great Jones and Lafayette, I want to say, if you know the city. And it is a really fun, like, hotspot. It's kind of exclusive. Like, you have to know the bouncer to be let down. It's like a restaurant in the front, and then there's a secret bar in the downstairs. And I was always like, I was a little fascinated by it because it never got bad. Like, clubs in New York City are like an avocado. Like, they literally are like, it's like a one-day thing. And if you miss the mark, like, it's not fun anymore. It's not nice. But Acme has been going on and on for like over 20 years. So I was like, okay, this is obviously, a big deal. And I actually, at the time that I made my podcast, and I don't even think I've told anyone this, I couldn't get into Acme at that time. It was a girlfriend of mine. It was a girlfriend of mine who knew the bouncer and he loved her. And so I would go with her and we would get in. And I just was like, I thought it was so cool. And then I was stalking this couple that I like worship on Insta because everyone has one of those. And they had just gotten married. And in the comments, someone was like, I can't believe they met at Acme. And I was just starting my podcast and I was like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. So I just decided to call it We Met at Acme randomly. And then I started getting into Acme. So it was like pretty good deal,
Yes. You've met men at Acme. You always say like the room is great. I was watching your Build series interview and you're like, there's always this good amount of people and mix. How do they do that?
Yeah, it's a good mix because the bouncers are really good. I mean, there used to be this amazing guy named Patrick at the door and he was a savage. Like, he would be like, you're cute, your friend isn't. Sorry, your friend can wait. Your friend's not getting in. You're fine. And it was crazy.
Wow.
And he was like, but he was really good at it. Somehow he got away with it. He made it he was just like a cool dude. I mean, he's still around. I don't know why I'm saying past tense, but he's just not the bouncer anymore. And now there's a new guy and he does like the same kind of shtick. And just make sure that like there's enough of this kind of person, that kind of person. It's like, it's the melting pot of Acme, And so there's always someone interesting enough to meet there. And I've met people there, but no one like, legit.
Gotcha.
So on your show, people get to write in, they get to ask you questions all the time about relationships. And you have some really great guests. You recently had Laura Wasser, the divorce attorney, and Marriage Story, which is on Netflix, with Scarlett Johansson, which I watched, which is excellent, is loosely based on... No, wait, did she sort of pitch the story or it's just based on her?
No, it's so Laura Dern's character, you know how she like takes her heels off and gets on the couch? That's supposed to be Laura Wasser in real life.
So hot.
So hot. So hot.
Oh God, the movie is
she's
so
crushed. Good. Yeah, it's so good.
It's so good. But Laura on your show recently had said that you should never marry anyone that you're not willing to divorce. I loved that nugget, but I'm curious, after all these episodes you've done of relationships, do you agree with that?
1000%. 1000%. Like every ex of mine, I wouldn't have wanted to divorce. I'm dating someone now. He's incredible. And I know that if God forbid, you know, we got married and divorced, he would be such a gentleman and so sweet, you know? And it's like, that's the kind of person you want to be with, like someone who's not going to be turned petty against you, you know?
Oh, so that's what it's referring to. Not like, are you able to just let them go at the drop of a hat?
No. It's just like that when you, if God forbid you divorce them, you know, they would be nice to you.
Okay.
And how does Laura say that you're supposed to find that out? Because you sort of ask, you really have such open conversations, or it's just truly about knowing the person? Because I always think that I've always gone under the advice of do a prenup when you're in love with someone, right? Because you should do a prenup when you guys want the best for each other, not when you're trying to exit. But to me, once you're at the point of exiting, it's always so hard to be amicable, you know? Like somebody always wants out, even if you like each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's true. And that's why Laura had such a good point. She was like, you know, the way that I work, she was like, if I'm doing a consultation with a couple and one of them's like, I want to gut the other one, then I'm like, sorry, I'm not working with you, because I want people who like genuinely can think to why we were together in the first place and actually like take that goodness into the divorce, and, you know, have like good divorce relations. But I agree with you with the prenup, like, you should totally do a prenup when you're in love. Because also, like, when else are you going to do a prenup after you're already married and you're fighting? Like, no, like that's not. It's like the prenup and the money stuff. You need to talk about that before you like even get engaged, I think.
Lindsay, will you do a prenup? Because I got married almost a year ago, no prenup, because I want 75% of everything that he has. Like I want it all.
I get that. Andrea, are you married, or do you have a prenup situation?
Oh, who, me? No, I'm in a long-term relationship with my boyfriend, but I don't think we're gonna do. We haven't even talked about marriage at all.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. I think that a standard prenup is great. There's no problem with a standard prenup. It's not awkward. The standard prenup just says what was mine before we got married is mine after we got married, and everything in between we'll split 50-50. And if you don't make any amendments to that, there's no awkwardness. And it's just you saying like, listen, you know, God, like my grandma passed away and she gave me like $10,000, and like, it's not a big amount, but like, maybe I want it if God forbid something were to happen, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's things that like had nothing to do with them that you're just like, you know, like maybe I want to like buy a divorced car, you know, like who knows?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, that is true. All right. Maybe I'll ask for a post-nup. Like now that we're like 1 year. Guys, we are joined today. If you're on the live stream and you have any relationship question, this is your woman. Lindsey Metselaar is the host of We Met at Acme. The podcast is so good. She has amazing guests. I want to get into, and you're also a big astrology person, which I didn't realize until I got to be a part of your live show here at City Winery in DC. So I want you to tell us what our signs mean, because I'm not really into it. But why is astrology so big for you?
Well, if I remember correctly, Sarah, you're an Aquarius, right?
I am. Yes.
Okay. So I need to know, Andrea, when's your birthday?
Yes. Mine's August 13th. I'm a Leo.
Oh, perfect. It's like you and your husband, Sarah. It's like you guys are opposites.
Yes.
And opposites like do really well together. But okay. So going back, so what do you want to know? Just like the general personality traits of your signs, like how opposites work together.
Okay, I feel like I know my positives, but I want to know, what are the weaknesses of Aquarians? Like, what do they need to work on?
Yeah. Well, Aquarians can sometimes be contrarians in a lot of ways. Like they don't often want to do what everyone else is doing. So sometimes they rebel and things like that. They also, I'm trying to think, they're like in their own world a lot of the time. And it can be construed as being self-oriented when in reality, they're actually very altruistic people. It's hard to explain. Like there's such a spectrum of Aquarians, right? Like we have Ellen DeGeneres, who has gotten some shit right recently.
Yes.
But we also have Oprah, who's like a gift to the world. So Aquarians I think are one of the most diverse signs when it comes to personality, I would say. Whereas Leos are just very straightforward. Like they love being the center of attention. They're like the lion of the zodiac. They protect fiercely. It's like don't mess with a Leo. And they come with a lot of innate confidence. And actually both signs have in common, both Aquarius and Leos are either feeling really confident or not confident at all. And like, that's an interesting trait that you guys both have in common. You go back and forth between like feeling like the most confident person in the world to being hard on yourself.
That's so accurate, because when I have bad days, Sarah will lift me up and the vice versa. That's so funny. I think we work really well together. I think my question is, and I know someone else, they said, Jennifer, my husband and I are both Cancers and I date a Leo, but we're both like, I'm Leo 1, he's Leo 3. So what's your advice for people that are the same sign, but still different? Is it possible?
Interesting. I do think it's possible. I actually have seen a few Leos together. And I personally, I think Leo women are so much better than Leo men. But if a Leo man is developed, then he's great, and like he's super solid. I think two Cancers together can definitely work, but both very emotional. So they both need to like nurture each other and not like be the one that needs to be nurtured. They need to take turns like a lot. I think two signs can work. Personally, I'm a Libra. I would never date another Libra. I find that Libra guys are like a little effeminate for me and like kind of like too charming. Like I don't want you to be too charming. You know what I mean? Like stay in your lane of like being I'm actually dating a sign that's technically not compatible with me. But it all has to do with the rest of your chart, which I'm sure you've heard astrologers say. It's not just your sun sign. It's like your moon sign, your rising sign, and all the other things. So when two people message me and they're like, oh my God, tell me like Scorpios and Capricorns, are they compatible? I'm like, yeah, but we have to know what else you're working with here, which is based on the time you're born.
Now, Lindsey, wait, do you go see a regular astrologist? I mean, you're pretty versed yourself, but do you have anybody that you like that like continues to kind of help you and guide you?
Yeah. So fun fact, I learned that astrologist is not a thing and they prefer to be called astrologer. I learned this recently when I was doing a podcast with an astrologer. And I kept calling her an astrologist and she's like, I'm not an astrologist. And I was like, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Well, now I know. But I have one woman, her name's Diana. She's wonderful. She's based in the city. I went to her for a reading. She's also like a psychic. And so I will ask her questions every now and then, but I just basically did 2 readings with her and I feel like I know everything, which I definitely don't, but she was wonderful.
Ooh, she was really spot on.
Really spot on. Have you guys ever had a reading?
I don't think I've done, we just had this Lettermond card reader. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's like ancient Gaelic card reading, kind of like tarot. She just gave me a reading, which kind of turned out to be freakishly accurate. And like, I'd gone to a psychic a couple of years ago and she met me actually when I was doing a TV appearance and she like completely read me. And then she was like, call me. I have so much to tell you. And then when I called her, she like had no idea who I was. She gave me a complete opposite reading. Like she was like, oh, there's something with your heart when you're 44. So I called her and then she's like, there's something with your feet when you're like 35. I'm like, wait a minute. What?
Yeah,
are you just plugging in? This isn't. So then I was off psychics for a while. But maybe I'll do the Okay, we're supposed to call her what? An astrologist?
An astrologer.
Oh God, I mess that up all the time. Look, one of the things I adore about you is you're very well connected and you seem to have, the scoop on lots of things. Now, on your show recently, you revealed that you talked to Sophia from Call Her Daddy. We were obsessed with the Call Her Daddy story for a lot of reasons. But Sophia, of course, is the one that is on the out, I guess, for lack of a better word, is not a part of the show anymore. Right. And you'd said, look, I don't know if I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it unless she sort of allows me to. So tell us, are you going to talk further in depth or is she a potential guest for your show?
Well, before I get into that, I would love to know your stances on the situation.
Oh God. Well, here's mine. And this goes back to Howard. Okay. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I'm never short of an opinion. Okay, this goes back to Howard and Robin. I was devastated for them both because my theory is this. I've been a part of a very successful, very high paid morning show that was on its way to replace Elvis Duran. And then everybody fought and it all dissolved. So my first thing is I said, let me become their mediator. I want to come to New York. I will get these two to back together because they're never going to be as strong separate as they will together. They've got to find a way to work this out. And personally, I feel like Barstool Sports should have done more to take this situation offline, even though I know it seems like they hostilely kind of sent Dave Portnoy a contract or whatever they wanted. But these guys are money. They should have been making way more than $75, way more than $100,000 a year. Mm-hmm. They're a great couple. So my take is this. I wish and I hope they can come back together because I think they're stronger together. Now, I don't know. Maybe Sophia, I don't know her personally, so maybe she really doesn't want to be in the podcasting business anymore. But that was my take. You know, with Barstool, they're going to do stuff to like ratchet up the situation. So I think you knew there were going to be videos and all this stuff on Sophia, which obviously I think went too far. And then Peter Nelson, wanted to dial it back. So I wish they'd stayed together. That's where I stand. I like both of them. There are 2 more dream interviews. I would interview both those ladies because I think what they had was magic. Yeah. So there's my take.
Okay. Yeah. And Andrea, you feel the same way?
Love that. I feel the same way. I think especially with friendships that go into it as friends first and then they start a business together, you've got to lay down the contracts first and understand. When I watched their vlogs, it did seem like Alex was holding the camera all the time. She was editing and Sophia was not necessarily doing the work, but she was still super involved. So I don't take sides with either one of them. I do wish them the best, but I really do think they should have figured things out prior. I think together they make magic. I love watching them. I'm addicted to just like their vocal fry and everything they have to say about Gluck Gluck. Well, I love it. And I don't think you can't recreate that with anyone else. And there's never going to be another Call Her Daddy. But yeah, I just don't take sides. I think it's really sucky the situation, how it ended now that Alex is back with Barstool. And I don't even know what Sophia's doing. So we're really interested to hear your take, especially talking to Sophia, because I think Alex came out with that YouTube video and we haven't heard a lot from Sophia's perspective.
Right. Well, I think first of all, like put yourself in Sophia's position for a second. Like your friend, before this all happened, your partner was getting paid more than you and did not tell you.
I agree.
Did not tell you and did not say, by the way, I think you can make just as much as me. If you do X, Y, and Z, and not only would you be making just as much as I would, and we'd be really feeling even, but you'd be helping me because I can't do all this editing. You know what I mean? It's like there was clearly a lack of communication from the beginning. That was the problem. So I think before this even erupted, Sophia was in like a more unfortunate position because she was like lied to, by her partner about how much she was making. And I think that maybe Sophia would have understood if Alex was like, by the way, I do all the work. If you want to do more, you can make the same. But if not, let's just keep it as is and like we're cool. So I think that happened going into it, right? And then I think like, listen, so yeah, I think there's definitely a point of contention of the fact that Sophia has this boyfriend and Alex is single. And I have, been in so many situations where, friends of mine who are single are not able to like be happy for me or are looking or are only there for me when like I tell them the bad stuff about a relationship. And I think that there was, whether she would admit it or not, part of Alex that was feeling like she just got this boyfriend and now she wants to do all this shit and like blah, 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 and it's not okay. Whereas like the reality is, I think they needed someone to come in and say, you're not getting paid enough. Who cares if it was a man or a woman? They needed an outside perspective to be like, this is how it should be. Like I'm, a suit man as they call him. Right. And so it was great that they were negotiating that and they were starting to get what they wanted. And I think there was this interception in a Dave and Alex conversation where Dave kind of made her think like, you don't need this girl. You don't need her. Like we got you at Barstool, blah, 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 because I think he just wanted to shut them up at that point. And he knew that Alex was like more of a Barstool type fan person and would like go for her. So whether or not he manipulated her, I can't say for sure. But based on my conversations with Sophia, this is the take that I've gotten. And then, you know what happened after that. And so I think I will reveal that Sophia told me that she doesn't see a reconciliation happening ever.
Wow.
Really?
Friendship, not necessarily professionally.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I've been there. But you know what, Lindsey, you brought up a great point, which is it is actually, and I do take, I have a lot of empathy for Sophia, because once you're lied to in a team situation like that, even like you said, even if Sophia maybe wasn't editing audio, wasn't editing video, right there, that is a huge hurdle to then try to overcome, because you both are reaping the awards of this success. You're showing up. Sure, one person is doing a little bit more of the work, but you're right. And that's something I think that kind of has gotten brushed under the rug, is that's a big deceit.
Exactly. And I think so the reason Sophia wanted to renegotiate that contract so badly is because she was making even less than Alexandra. The reason Alexandra hadn't said anything is because she was making more, you know? And so for Alex to say like, what are you doing? Like, it's enough for me. Then Sophia's of course going to be confused. What do you mean? I make, 30% less than you. It's not enough for me. And exactly, that was the initial problem. You can't lie to your partners.
Oh my God, this is another Howard Stern topic I could talk about, because I mean, the fact that these women were trending, one of the only sets of women trending in the top 5 of the most listened to podcasts every single week, and we're making 75,000 while you have Joe Rogan making 88,000 per episode. I mean, there's so many angles. Crazy. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about all your relationship advice. You have amazing advice. I love your delivery. It's hysterical. And we have some ongoing discussions on this show. Talk to me about small penises. I'm probably one of the only women that enjoys a small penis. Do you find...
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Why?
This is what I love about Lindsey. She's just like, okay.
Why? I need to know. Because you
Lindsey,
can go work harder?
Have you ever had a monster penis? It is the most painful thing after you are having sex for an hour with a 9-inch large dick. It is like, I mean, honest to God, it's like you're riding a rodeo horse that you can't get off.
Yeah.
So I find that the smaller peen men are willing to work harder in bed and it's less pain, but I don't know, maybe it's my vaginal canal.
We like medium size on the Hey Frase podcast. Medium, we call it schmedium.
Yeah, I think schmedium is good. I personally prefer a schmedium to large, like somewhere in between. Yes. But I do agree with you. I think that it's easier to have an orgasm if it's not so big, right? Mm-hmm. Because I think there's some sort of pressure. It needs to be. I hope no one in my family is listening to me right now. I think there's some sort of pressure that it needs to rub up against, and if it's too big, it's just so up there that it's not doing what it needs to be doing necessarily. So I see what you mean. I do agree, smaller penis works harder. Personally, I'm one of the gals that doesn't love being gone down on. Like, can't really have an orgasm from that. So it's important to me that your peen does what I need it to do. And sometimes that doesn't happen when it's small. Medium, yes. Small, no.
Okay, that is a great point, because we've also been debating on this show. I think it was a Slate.com article where essentially a woman had asked, she was going down on her man way more than he was on her. And she wanted, her friends were like, look, this is inequality in a relationship. What is your take on that? Bless you.
So much pollen over here. So I think that's complete inequality. I also wonder, and I really need you guys to give me an answer here. How often do you think that you should give your man head to completion?
Interesting. Because I'll always start off, right? And then
start off. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, then to completion, that's a whole other subject. Sarah, you go first.
I'm sort of a lunatic. So, I mean, I would do that for Dan, like multiple times a week, but I'm crazy.
Oh, wow.
And you won't expect it back though. You never expect it back.
No, I do expect it back now. At first I didn't, but now I demand it, and he gets really annoyed, and then he'll try to walk out of the room, and I'm like, you get back here. I mean, we have a really playful relationship. So,
Right.
but I'm definitely, I'm so sexual. He'll often refer to me as his little pervert because I'm always totally over the top. So don't ask me. I mean, I'd be doing that all the time, but I say a couple times, maybe once a month. What do you think is like normal?
I think once a month is good, right?
Yeah, if it's a good month, I'll do it twice to completion. But to me, and also we don't live together. So when we do see each other, it's not like a race to do oral. It's more of just like being together, I think. So absence makes the heart go stronger or grow fonder, whatever you say. But yeah, I feel like twice a month is good.
I agree. I'm actually going to do a poll question, which we do on our Instagram, to confirm or deny what we're talking about. But I agree, once a month. And also it's because like I have my period once a month, and sometimes I do want to have period sex, but sometimes I don't want you near that. And so in return, I will be kind and, do that to completion.
Yes. And you bring a great point. We've also talked about period sex. We have never found a man that's super into it, but we both know someone who the guy was obsessed with it and actually wanted it.
That's weird. I've actually also heard a story that a guy liked to go down on his girlfriend
Yes!
to get her period.
We hear that all the time. I've got to do a special just on guys that want to do that.
Yeah.
AJ and I both have girlfriends that have dated guys that are really into that. And we're like, where do you find these men?
So nasty.
Like,
it's so not for me.
Yeah, so not for us. Is it vampire? What's the deal? Like, what is going on?
It must be vampire. I think a lot of guys are also like obsessed with the fact that like we have a menstrual cycle and that like we ovulate, like there are guys that like get turned on by those things that make us so different than them. So maybe it's something about that. I don't know.
Okay, you asked some killer questions, by the way. We Met At Acme is the IG that people need to follow. You asked some great questions on your story, but what are the ones that people ask you over and over again? I loved the other day on your show, I think someone asked you like, hi, should I be wanting to spend time with my boyfriend during quarantine? And you're like, why are you asking me this? If you have to ask me this, what are some of the ones that people ask over and over?
People are always asking, like, how do I get them to define the relationship? How do I get like my, my boyfriend to like answer, what are we, And it's like, don't ask that question. No one wants to be asked, what are we? And also I feel like if you have to ask, that's a red flag in itself, right?
Right. In your past experience, what has been the most common thing? For me, I just wait for the guy to introduce me as his girlfriend. And then I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I'm your girlfriend.
So that works. I also sometimes like, I'll be like, you have to ask me. Like if they refer to me as their girlfriend, I'm like, you have to ask me,
Yeah,
it's like
I could be dating 10 other guys.
Right. Like, how do you know I'm really your girlfriend? And so I think that shows them that like, they have to ask, and then we are officially official. But there have been times though where they introduced me as their girlfriend, and then I'm like, oh really? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, well now I know. But there has to be some addressing of the conversation for sure.
Okay.
And okay, then what? And you also recommend like, is it 3 dates in a night? Like lots of times you like to do kind of. How do you describe that? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think like, a lot of the time it's a numbers game, and you don't want to waste your time on like, first of all, you don't want to spend more than like 3 hours or even an hour and a half on a first date, especially because it's like, don't you have anywhere else to be? It's not cute. So
Thank
it's
God,
perfect.
yes.
It's perfect if you triple book because you're like, oh, I actually, I'm meeting a friend in 30 minutes. It was so great to get to know you. And if they're really into you, they're going to want more. So why not triple book? It's like triple the chance of meeting someone great.
That is so good. I wish I had known that advice back in the day, because I would spend 4 hours on these dates for at the end, the guy to reveal that he still wasn't divorced and he had 3 kids. And I'm like, are you kidding? How did you not lead with that? I can't believe I'm here. Oh my God. I've gone on the worst dates ever. I needed you 8 years ago so bad. I've gone on a date with a guy who sadly used to advertise on this podcast, and his brother was a professional clown who then wanted to come out and do he wanted to do animal balloons on our first date.
That's amazing. Oh
I've
my
also
God.
gone on a date with a guy for hours who he asked me out. Then we went out on, he was like, he ran like a soccer league. He's like, I just have to go to our soccer party, which was on a boat. We got out on a boat on the Potomac, only for me to be the VIP host. And he was like, do you mind just getting on the microphone and saying a few words? He basically got me for a free talent fee.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, I needed you back in the day. Okay, I also wanted to ask you really quickly, because she just got fired overnight, but she was another recent guest on your show. Is it Kristen? How do I say her last name? Doubt?
Kristen Doty, I think.
Doty from Doughty from Vanderpump Rules. She was on talking about her new relationship. We don't really watch Vanderpump Rules on Bravo. Of course, we know Stassi, but that was pretty recent. Were you shocked at those firings?
I was definitely shocked at the firings. I had heard murmurs of that story in the past. I have a good friend who is very close with the cast, outside of the show. And so right as those came up, I messaged her. She was the one that connected me with Chris in the first place. And I was like, what is going on? I didn't know this about them. And she's like, well, that's not 100% of the story. And she told me some inside scoop that I had not previously known about. And it was actually in their favor, but I think it doesn't matter what the real story is. And I think Kristen touched upon this in her addressing of the situation. It's like, you are exerting your white privilege if you call the cops on someone who's Black, because they're not going to be treated fairly. And you know that. So it doesn't really matter what they do to you. Unless your life is in actual danger, you don't need to get the cops involved. And I think that they realize that. And I think that Bravo knew that if they weren't going to fire these people, they were going to be in hot water. So I think that's how the situation unfolded.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she was, and I haven't listened to that episode that you did with her, but she's in a new relationship, right?
She's in a new relationship. She has a new boyfriend. He was a friend of a friend, kind of in their peripheral crew for a while. He sounds great. She's actually an Aquarius, too. She seems like a really great person who is in a really great, time in her life, and who has done the work on herself. So it is unfortunate that this from her past has circulated, but maybe it just shows her that she needs to do even more work. And maybe it was time for her and Stassi to move on from Vanderpump Rules and do something else with their lives. So I think it all probably happened for a reason.
Oh my God, you're so good at that. And I love following your stuff. You are speaking up on Black Lives Matter and Black issues, and you're so confident in it. And I think you're just a great example. So I enjoy following. Have you always been outspoken? I mean, you just seem like you just have a great voice and also amplifying people of color. So has that always been a passion of yours?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been going back to astrology, I'm a Libra, and we're all about fairness and equality. And if something's not fair, even, growing up with a sister, if she was getting a sweater, I was getting that sweater. And I just I have to speak up when something that I see is just not fair, whether that's, something for Black Lives Matter or things in a friendship or someone in a bad relationship for them. And I think, with everything that happened with George Floyd and everything that's going on, it ignited that part of me that's I need to speak up about this. Because this is really who I am inside, is someone who does think that, people need to be equal. And I've always been a feminist, and so I've spoken up on those issues before. And I've spoken up in the past about my feelings on Trump. And I think this just brought everything even more out in the open. And I was like, it's time. to
Oh my God.
open up.
To address.
Well, you're amazing. You're so great to listen to and follow. We Met at Acme is the podcast. It's the Instagram as well. It's all your platforms. I just adore you. I loved being a part of your live show in January. You did a great job, I thought, on getting this hilarious cast. I was telling everybody watching the show prior, I was sitting next to this guy who was all of 21. I don't know if you remember him. He was like newly in a relationship. I think you were talking about women who like, how long maybe till you would have sex with someone? And I was like 30 minutes. And this sweet little guy was like, oh, I would need to respect her. I'm like, oh, to be 21. Anyway, you did a great job handling him and some of the other guys on it was hysterical.
It was such a fun night. Oh my God, I love that.
Oh, anyway, we adore you. We hope you make it back to DC because we would just love to have you on again. And maybe we'll be in New York when this passes too. We can all get drinks because you're a treat. One of the best podcasts out there. Thank you for amplifying other female podcast voices. Guys, if you don't already follow and subscribe to Lindsey's podcast, it is We Met at Acme. Check it out. Lindsey, you are awesome.
Thank you guys. And also I need you to come on my podcast too. So stay tuned for that.
We can't wait.
Definitely.
Love you so much, Lindsey.
Bye,
Enjoy
guys.
the day. Bye.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye.
Yeah.
You guys, if you have any follow-up questions for her, she's just 5-star. I love her delivery. She's a trip. And she's never afraid to comment on things like the call her dad. I love that she always takes a stance. So We Met at Acme is the podcast all about dating in New York, but the relationship advice transcends no matter what city you're in. AJ, where can people find you and follow you? What a day.
We do love it. I know so many people in the show. You guys always at Andrea Lopez Comedy. I'll be putting up some impressions and book me on Cameo. And I usually will answer DMs. Okay. So just hit me up. Say what's up. Say hey. And I'll talk back to you. Love you guys.
DMer. Guys, we're so in love with you. This show would not be possible without you. So thank you, Kat, Tina, Kadar, Michael, Melinda, all for joining. You can follow at Hey Frase on all platforms and share today's show with someone who has never heard of us. We love you. We also saw Ryan on there. He was desperately 18 looking for hot sex.
Desperately looking for love.
We had to block him because he was spamming for 10,000 times. Ryan, hang in there. We'll unblock you and then only send us like 3 messages. We'll hook you up. All right. Bye, everybody. We love you. Bye, everybody.